Good evening, everyone, or good morning, whenever you hear this. I have been so busy. I've been watching the news and getting prepared for whatever may occur. And as you know, those of you who've been subscribed to me for a while, I've been doing a series on preparation. And part of that preparation requires research. And I have been researching, and every time I find something, then I come and share it with you all because we do need to be prepared and ready. Um, Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And there's so many things that can occur, and it's always good to have a go bag. They call it a bug out bag. Some people call it a bug in bag in case you have to stay in the house. Um, and you'll have all your emergency supplies handy. Um, they call it, what else do they call it? Was it get home bag? I think was the other one. But it's best to be prepared. And I'll be the first one to tell you and admit that years ago when I saw these things about preppers, I said, "Oh, they're crazy. They know that ain't necessary." Until COVID hit, and everybody's running around all over stores looking for toilet paper, right? And I thought about them. I said, "They got all the toilet paper they need." So I realized that it doesn't hurt to be prepared. So I've been preparing. I've been doing my dry canning, preparing my food in Mylar bags, storing it in Mylar bags, pickling eggs, that sort of thing. But you can go over to my playlist called Survival Mode Be Prepared, and I will include this video in it. But I wanted to discuss this with you and bring this to your attention because um, it's so necessary to have an emergency bag. But you can't just buy any bag. You have to look at the quality, if it's going to tear up on you, if it's waterproof, if it has enough compartments, that sort of thing. And so what I did was when I was looking for my go bag, I basically looked at the top, I looked under best and then their review, but then I went over to um, I went over to Amazon and then I would read the reviews on the ones that they said were the best and then some other ones. And I found that some of those bags that they say is tactical and survival are not that. Um, One person said it was a waste of money, their money, because it tore immediately. And so that's what I have time to do. A lot of you are working and doing other things right now, and you don't have time to do that kind of research. So I'm basically sharing my research with you. And the top three, um, and I will list them in the description, are Condor, Stone Glacier, and Mystery Ranch. And the key to that is that these are the ones that military people use in their personal life when they leave the military or whatever. But this is what they use, and they're very sturdy and reliable. And so those three are the ones. But also get your Faraday bags, which I discussed in another video. Um, Now, they call them, like I said, bug in, bug out, go bags, get home bags, shelter in place. And the main thing that you have to realize is how many bags do you need? If you're a family, you need one for yourself, your spouse, another one for your spouse, another one for your children. And if you have pets, you need a small one for your pets. And basically, in your children's go bag, which would be a smaller one, you would have things such as snacks, games, toys, um, what do you call portable DVD players so that they can watch things if there's no streaming available, uh, games that they can play. That's the sort of thing you will need, addition to their own water, their own soap and towels, and 3 days or two, how many, whatever, clothing. Um, that's the sort of thing that you would need. And if they have need medication, um, that will be in your go bag. But they need their own go bag because they're going to need the same amount of supplies for 3 to 5 days that you would need. The same thing with your pets, which would be a smaller bag, much smaller, because you can put either can or dry food, however you feed your pet or your dog or your cat. You would need enough in there so that they could have sufficient food and water. Put a couple bottles of water in their little bag. Um, a pillow, a blanket, a thermal blanket for them as well. And I discussed thermal blankets and emergency thermal blankets, and they're not that expensive. I don't know about today, but I know that when I got mine, you could get 6 in a little package for like $7 or $8. So these are the kind of things in a sleeping bag, um, for yourself, your spouse, your children, and even for your pet if you want one, so they can be warm if you need that. So that's how you would get the quantity that you would purchase. But there's also the fact that there are circumstances under which you may need these, and um, floods, a grid blackout, EMP, earthquake, fire, mandatory evacuation, war, whatever, It's so many things that you would, need this for to be prepared for. And I know people personally in Los Angeles and Altadena. They were not prepared. And one person I know, they had an hour and a half before the fire got too close to get enough stuff together to leave. Um, there are other people who weren't prepared at all that had to evacuate, and they had to pack up stuff. And so there's a lot of circumstances under which this is necessary. With the situation today, insofar as the political climate, you don't know when you may have to say, hey, I'm out, I'm leaving, y'all can have it, and go somewhere else, go to another country or whatever. But I think that one of the things that people don't understand, even an EMP problem. Now, I don't know what EMP stands for. I saw it once, but every time I look around, they said in case of EMP. Well, that's bad because whatever it means, it destroys your electronics. That's why you need the Faraday bags. And you can keep the items, your secondary emergency electronics, in the Faraday bags, and you can add your personal ones to them if you have to get on the move. And they can't be tracked either. But it blocks out your signal. Nothing can get into it. And that's what you want to save. You want to save your electronics. you would need some of the rechargeable batteries. And I have a solar charger. So, because, say, for instance, the grid goes down, how are you going to charge anything if you don't have electricity? You have a solar powered charger, and that's where you can put all of your things in there. And then they also have, like I said, the rechargeable batteries, um, things such as that. And that's why you need one. Now, you also need one for the car, and they call that a get home bag that you keep in the car just in case you're out and something breaks out or cuts loose or whatever, however you want to phrase it. In case that happens, then you will have supplies right there. So you'll need, a get home bag in your car with the same amount of bags that you would have in the house. Now, some people even keep their, uh, I've heard some of the people say they keep their go bag uh, under the bed. They keep another little box with flashlight in it under the bed, that sort of thing. You'll also need a medical bag for emergencies. They call it a trauma kit. Um, and also in there, you can put your medication or your child's medication, your spouse's medication, but you do need um, medication bags. Um, I think with a family, one medication bag will do. Um, and whichever one of the grown-ups, if there's children involved, wants to carry the medication bag, you can. But those are the sorts of things that you need and why you need them. And um, you can Google some of these things yourself that I've mentioned. But there's even things you need like gloves and things to put over your eyes because we don't know what could happen. Um, I know people, and they're suggesting strongly because of the political climate that you get some potassium iodine pills, and those are in case of nuclear war. Um, just to have them, who knows? We don't know what's going on with everything that's going on in the world today. Some things that are happening today, uh, a year ago would have been unbelievable, but it's happening. And so you have to also be uh, prepared in having copies of your um, birth certificates and that sort of thing at all times. Um, Invest in a fireproof, waterproof safe so that you can keep your original important documents in there. Um, and if you have time, if you've got to really go, uh, you can pull that, you can pick up that safe and put it in your car and take it with you. So there's a lot of things that go into being prepared. And unfortunately, I was not raised to be prepared like that. And um, even to the point now with banks closing accounts and everything else, you have to keep some cash. Uh, and they suggest that you keep cash in your go bag in a fireproof, waterproof or container, but also with one of those absorbers that present moisture or something like that because money sweats for some reason. And, it has a lot of moisture in it or something like that. So even if you put it in a safe, you still have to put those things in there. So, anyway, I just wanted to come on here and share that with you because I have been trying to get to this for the past 2 weeks. And I've just been busy preparing, getting things together, um, storing food, because then you have the possibility that you might have to shelter in place in your home. Well, you want enough food and water for you, your family, whoever. Okay, um, You might have other family members that might have to come there, but you have enough food for at least 3 to 6 months. The Mormon church for years has been having enough food to last a year. I thought they were crazy too until I started looking around and saying, that makes a lot of sense. And hopefully, hopefully you don't need it. We pray that we don't need it. But if we do, um, I think my grandmother survived, as did my mother, um, the Depression. But my grandmother knew how to can and do canning and put stuff in there. And when I did my first pickled eggs, I thought about her. I said, I should have been standing right there next to her, looking at what she was doing. But they survived the Depression because they canned food. They did the canning in the mason jars and that sort of thing. And they survived. Um, Word to the wise should be sufficient. Anyway, that's all I have for you this time. I will put the pertinent links in the description, and you can go check these things out for yourself. The bags. I will put also on my community wall some photographs of the different bags, the ones that I think are the best ones that I found have the best reviews. And you can, at that point, make your own decisions. Some are pricey, some are not so pricey. And for some people, any bag at all is pricey. And so what you need to do is get one of those, what is that? You pay in 4 payments or something like that with PayPal and all these other things, and get your bags together. And do it now while you have time. Anyway, have a great rest of your evening, everyone. And remember, be prepared and be ready so you don't have to get ready.